Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, I still remain cautiously optimistic, everyone, okay? There we are when it comes to this ceasefire. Dale was asking me during his show in the last hour, and I hate to agree with him, but I think what he said is probably close to correct on how this all ends. Trump is realizing that a regime change, full regime change where the people rise up and take over is not going to happen. If it does happen, it would be months down the line. It's not going to happen right now. He's also realizing he doesn't want to stay in this conflict for months on end either. So he probably believes, okay, let's get some kind of deal in place where maybe the regime is still there, but they're in a position where we can at least deal with them. I've been comparing this to what happened in Venezuela. It seems to be the goal here now. The problem is, as I've been saying, you're dealing with the crazies in Iran. Maybe the new dictator of Venezuela isn't as crazy as the new leadership in Iran. Who knows? There's already talk about ceasefire breaking down or whatever it is. But I'm going to stay cautiously optimistic, and I know I've been saying this a lot, but I'll repeat myself. It's fine. You get the point here. Trump was able to get some kind of deal with Hamas to get all the hostages back and end most of that war in Gaza. If he can get that done, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe we can get a real ceasefire. Now, what happens after the ceasefire? That's a whole nother question because China is involved in this as well. So we will talk about that and much more today because you are listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. We'll get to Iran stuff, the latest details, what the Trump administration has said about it. We'll get to that a little bit later on. In the next segment, yes, we'll also have those Alabama bullet points. The legislative session is almost over in this state, so we'll talk about the latest there, some last-minute stuff coming up. Later on as well, I have something that made Yaffee laughy, and it has to do with some Alabama politics, so we'll get to that. In the next hour, Christopher Reed will join the show. He is host of The Daily Controversy. As you know, you can hear that show 2 to 4 p.m. right here on WVNN. Also at his website, thedailycontroversy.com. He is a retired lawyer as well. Walker is here today. She's producing once again. She's going to do What's Trending later. By the way, Walker, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Yaffee. You seem to you messed up a little bit there. So how's your morning?
I'm good. I don't know. I know I missed a couple of words, I guess. This is what happens when you're a little bit sleep deprived. I was better. I got a little bit more sleep.
That's good.
I just keep telling everyone, I don't know why. My new baby boy just makes a lot of noise. And it's not screaming and crying. He does it when he's sleeping. He like grunts. It's thrown me off a little bit, and me and Steffi off. So we're trying to figure that out because it kind of wakes us up a lot.
So he's either going to be a big complainer or just talkative.
Oh, great. I mean, I don't know how you could be more talkative than our daughter, Evie. She talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. But she was not like that. She would cry a lot. He doesn't really cry that much. It's very strange. So maybe we'll talk more about that later. You can give me advice on, we tried to give him a pacifier. We thought maybe that would help, and he doesn't want it. He's not interested. He's just was like, no, I don't want this. I'll end the show with the Yaffee program rewind. By the way, you can always weigh in on our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. So this is my hated eight, but I want to react to this a little bit more to start the show. We have that whole situation where we had, what was it? It was a video, Fenway Park, from 1950. And it went viral because you had a lot of conservatives say, look what we're missing. Look how great things were in New York, in Boston in 1950. And then you had conservatives start posting videos of a New York Yankee opening game from the 1970s in New York City. And it was kind of the same thing. Look how much better it was in the 1970s. There is always this part of us that, remembers the past more fondly than it actually was. And that's kind of a part of it, because all you have to do is look at any real news from New York City in the 1970s especially. And no, it was not utopia. It was pretty bad. Actually, you weren't wanting to live there. But there is this new trend with my generation, millennials, to talk about how rough we've had it. Now, with everything I have talked about so far, there is a grain of truth to it. When it comes to, people remembering fondly the past in some of our big cities, there's a grain of truth because we have messed up a lot of our big cities. We have a crime problem in a lot of our big cities today, and illegal immigration sanctuary cities. It's created a lot of other problems. So there's a grain of truth to it where we're like, okay, that was before we had to deal with some of those problems. The issue you have is we're ignoring the problems that did exist back then. Just because they were different problems doesn't mean they weren't problems. Well, it's kind of the same way here. Let me read it. There was this post was going viral yesterday. And it says, the life of a millennial. And now remember, there is a grain of truth to what is being said here. But it needs a little bit more perspective. This is why you need me, your voice of reason. But it says the life of a millennial. And by the way, one thing they missed was 9/11. I'm not sure why this is not on the list. If you're going to do this, you would think you would start with 9/11. But anyway, it says the life of a millennial. Graduated into the Great Recession. Entry-level jobs required 3 years experience. Pensions replaced by 401ks. Promoted at work meant a 2% raise and 200% more responsibility. Felt stability in life finally, then a pandemic happened. Highest inflation in 50 years, deleted pay raises. Home prices doubled overnight, forcing permanent renters. Childcare costs 1 month of rent. Juggling aging parents, young kids, burnout from work, and the cost to live. Then it says AI causing mass layoffs during peak earning years. So this is all economic news, how rough millennials have had it in terms of the economy. Now, remember, there's a grain of truth. A lot of what is said here is true. And I've talked about on this show that the issue when it comes to my generation, that if politicians really want to address in the economy, the issue really is the cost of healthcare, the cost of housing, and the cost of childcare. Those are really the big ones where inflation has really made it hard for millennials. But I guess the problem I have is it's just sort of this victim mentality that somehow we have just had it so bad. Even with all of those things I've mentioned, I would still argue that my generation has had it way better than most. I just have to say. Even with those problems, I would say we've had it pretty good. Most millennials, I would assume, have never really felt what it is like to starve, to really be starving, to really not be able to get food. In fact, we have the opposite problem. We're too fat, if anything. That's just kind of one example. Even during things like the Great Recession, high inflation, the pandemic, it was a lot easier for our generation to handle those things than they had to in past generations. And I just wanted to point that out once again to give some perspective that, yeah, we're going to have our problems because that's humanity. That's life. But there's also something to be said that it could have been a lot worse. And let me just give you some examples. I want you to think about the generation that existed leading up to World War II. Think about that. You had World War I. Wasn't too long before that, you had a presidential assassination, but you had riots. You often had riots and strikes in cities because of unions. You had World War I. You had a pretty bad economic downturn after World War I and inflation as well. Then you had the Great Depression. Then you had World War II. Oh, and I forgot to mention, during World War I, you had the Spanish flu pandemic, where millions of people around the world were killed. So you had an economic downturn, World War I, another economic downturn, a pandemic, another economic downturn, then World War II, which was like the worst war in human history. So as bad as we've had it, I don't think it was that bad. Now, we often complain about how good the baby boomers had it compared to us, but think about what they had to go through. So baby boomers had the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Vietnam, the inflation and the oil embargo that happened in the 1970s. And most baby boomers lived through 9/11 as well, and the war after that. It's pretty bad. Oh, I didn't even talk about the civil rights. Well, there were good stuff that came out of that. There were massive riots in most major cities, burning down cities after MLK was killed. I'm not pointing out all of these things to be a downer. All I'm saying is, yeah, my generation has had some problems. Yeah, we can overcome them. But you know what? We still have it pretty good in this country. Not just compared to other countries, but compared to history. And I just don't think that's said enough. We focus on the negative so much. And I have to do that for my job a lot. I get it. But I wanted to have another opportunity to give some perspective on that. But maybe you disagree. You can tell me. We have our Yaffee text line, of course, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. It's brought to you by RegenesisStemCell.com. Maybe one thing you're complaining about in your personal life, you're dealing with joint pain, maybe neck pain, maybe really bad back pain. You just don't know what to do about it. You really don't want to have some kind of invasive surgery, but nothing else seems to work. Let me tell you about Regenesis Stem Cell Center. Using your own body's adult stem cells, that can work to heal the pain, to get real relief, to change your life. So talk to Dr. Charles Lee today. Make an appointment at RegenesisStemCell.com. They can help out with all of those things. There's really no downtime. When I went through it, I was back on the radio the next day. I mean, and it works. It changed my life. Go to RegenesisStemCell.com today. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. Got the Alabama bullet points coming up next here in the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Will the ceasefire hold in Iran? That's the question of the day. I'd love to get your take on our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. Going to ask throughout the show, but will the ceasefire, the current ceasefire that's going on between the U.S. and Iran, will it hold, do you think? Longer than 2 weeks? Will it even hold for the 2 weeks, honestly? Or is it already doomed to fail, basically? I'd love to get your take. You can say yes or no, but I'd love to get a real answer as well. 866-494-9866. I'll read a lot of your text messages on that throughout the show. Right now, though, let's get to the Alabama headlines. We have those Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, Alabama passes a scholarship bill for families of long-serving law enforcement. So Alabama has passed HB 98, it's the Alabama Law Enforcement Officers Family Scholarship Act, which provides up to $2,500 per academic period in tuition assistance for spouses and children of long-serving law enforcement officers actively employed by city, county, or state agencies. Now, this was sponsored by Representative Alan Treadway as part of Governor Kay Ivey and Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter's Safe Alabama package. Now, the bill expands existing benefits, and the program will be administered by the Alabama Commission on Higher Education, with funding supported in part by a new blackout license plate. Now, the bill passed on April 8th, and Governor Ivey has indicated she will sign it into law. Ivey and Ledbetter praised the measure as a way to support officers and their families who put it all on the line every day. Number 3 today, Alabama's Choose Act sees nearly 49,000 student applications in its second year. So Alabama's Choose Act Education Savings Account Program, the school choice program, received 29,341 applications covering 48,927 students for the 2026-2027 school year. Now, that is marking a substantial increase from its first year. The applications included over 18,000 new ones, with 10,000 renewals. Actually, it's 10,509 renewals. Now, Governor Ivey praised the program, stating it has changed the lives of thousands of Alabama families by allowing them to choose schools that best fit their priorities and their children's needs. He noted that the surge in applications shows strong demand for school choice, which I agree. I think it's awesome. Number 2 today, Alabama schools could be required to allow student-led prayers if voters approve an amendment. This is something we're definitely going to talk about more on the show, especially if it ends up passing. Alabama lawmakers have approved a proposed constitutional amendment that, if ratified by voters in November, would require public schools to permit student-led prayers and to begin each school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Did anyone else not realize or not? I kind of thought the Pledge of Allegiance was already happening. Maybe because we did that when I was in school, at least for like elementary school. I don't know. Sponsored by Representative Reed Ingram, the measure aims to expose students to the nation's foundational principles, with Ingram stating it reflects the idea that this country was built on "In God We Trust." Said the amendment would allow students to opt out of both the prayers and the pledge, and it does not include any funding penalties for non-compliant schools. Now, this comes against the backdrop of a Supreme Court ruling that went against this. So we'll see what happens. And number 1 today, Congressman Barry Moore, who is running for the U.S. Senate, as you know. He was on my show yesterday. Kind of some breaking news. He said conservatives in Congress, including himself, they want to pass ICE funding through reconciliation first. They want that to be a first step before ending the Department of Homeland Security shutdown. So the deal going through Congress right now is that they would pass Homeland Security funding first, and then later on pass ICE funding in a reconciliation package. But Barry Moore, and I saw the House Freedom Caucus going kind of along these lines, he said, no, we should do the reconciliation first to make sure it actually goes through. Because you might remember when I spoke with Will Hampson a couple weeks ago, he was very down on this idea. He doesn't think the Senate parliamentarian will approve it for reconciliation. So their idea is, okay, let's see if that happens first before we agree to funding Department of Homeland Security. Now, this goes against what Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has said he wanted to do and Senate Majority Leader John Thune. But I think it's an interesting idea. If we're going to do it this way, let's get reconciliation done first. I have to see if that actually happens. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. The question of the day, do you think the ceasefire in Iran will hold? At least for the 2 weeks. You can tell me on the text line. I'll give more details on the latest when it comes to the Iran war next. And I got to give you the details right now. Larry's Pistol and Pawn, a huge sale going on. Ruger Days is what it's called. If you want a really nice Ruger firearm for a really, really great price, now is the time to go. Now, coming up this Friday and Saturday, they're going to have representatives there from Ruger to help you out. Find exactly what you need. And did I mention you're going to get it for a great price? So go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn today, the Madison location off Greenbrier Exit 3. It's next to the big rusty water tower off 565. You know exactly where I'm talking about. It's a great place to shop when it comes to new or used firearms. You can also pawn or sell anything of value as well, and the customer service is top-notch. Oh, and ammunition. If you're running out of ammunition and you have a hard time finding it, you're going to find it at Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Go to the website, find out more information right now, pistolandpawn.com. It's pistolandpawn.com. When you do, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. Back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
The NFL Draft, presented by Bud Light, is coming to Pittsburgh, and it's your chance to witness the future of the game for free from April 23rd to April 25th. Feel the energy of the NFL Draft. See the Vince Lombardi Trophy and Super Bowl rings. Meet NFL players and legends. Enjoy interactive games and live music performances, and be there as the future of the NFL takes center stage. The NFL Draft starts April 23rd. Register for free entry at NFL.com/draft access today.
Full Send Golf.
You guys know how much I really, really love golf, and I think every week would be dope to post on the Golf Channel. I want to get a lot of guests on here.
Salim's going to take lead. I'm down to be in it. It's not really work to play golf.
Join the party on the golf course.
I was like, let's go to the range. Oh. So what are we putting on it?
We said 10K, right?
10K?
All right. We probably bet more than all the other golf channels, right?
10K, 9 holes.
Those guys bet for like cookies.
I feel like I'm going to shank it.
This guy's been trading like a Navy SEAL when it comes to golf.
I'm very, very excited. You excited?
Yeah.
Full Send Golf. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. I am Alabama's Truth Czar. This is Huntsville's Disinformation Board. Glad you're here. Glad you're joining the show today. And, of course, you can like the Yaffee Facebook page, follow me on X at Yaffee, or Instagram at Yaffee Live. So President Trump, one of his latest Truth Social posts, this was last night, about 11 p.m. Here's what he said on the latest on Iran. He said, all U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, and anything else that is appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy will remain in place in and around Iran until such time as the real agreement reached is fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely, then the shooting starts bigger and better and stronger than anyone has ever seen before. It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward actually to its next conquest. America is back. Oh, man, the media, the propaganda press, they're going to go crazy over the word conquest there. But as I've told you, usually what gets Trump into trouble is his mouth, and not anything that he does, but what he says. Now, my question for everyone listening, please weigh in on the text line and let me know what you think. Do you think the ceasefire holds for 2 weeks? I've told you I'm cautiously optimistic. It seems like what Trump really wants is something similar to what he has in Venezuela, where we can get the oil, where it's not really regime change, but we can deal with the person in power. It's not necessarily great for the people living there still, but it's much better than before, and they don't get nuclear weapons. They're no longer a military threat to us or the region. And I still think it's possible. I still really do believe it's possible to get a deal in that sort of vein. Now, the issue with that is you have to have conditions where if they don't live up to their end of the bargain, then they have some kind of punishment or we have to go back and bomb them again. That's kind of one of the big issues there. So let me read the problem that we have right now. This I'm going to read from the Wall Street Journal is that Iran has tightened its grip on the Strait of Hormuz despite the ceasefire. So we'll have to see if this is already them breaking it. says Iran told mediators it would limit the number of ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz to around a dozen. So about a dozen a day, and charged tolls under the ceasefire struck by President Trump, showing Tehran plans to tighten its grip on the world's most important energy shipping lane. Ships that pass will have to coordinate with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the powerful paramilitary group, as you know. It says 4 ships were allowed to pass Wednesday, the fewest so far in April. And it says Iran is requiring ships to work out toll arrangements ahead of time and then pay for fees in cryptocurrency or Chinese yuan. Mediators have said. Now, Iran demands show how it has used the war to create a new source of leverage and potentially revenue. It seized control of the waterway during the fighting by targeting ships that tried to pass without its permission. The arrangement is now being entrenched during the 2-week ceasefire. Now, Trump had also kind of added some confusion because he said it might be where we work with them for tolls. So we keep tolls in place, but the U.S. would be a part of it or something, which no clarification on that. No clarification on that. Now, I wanted to play some cuts here real quick to give an update because, I mean, there is some confusion, but I really do want to know what you think. Tell me if you think the ceasefire holds. Go ahead real quick, if you can, Walker. Can you play the Caroline Leavitt cut that I sent you? This is Trump's press secretary on this yesterday talking about it.
The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire.
Now, that's the other part of this that's kind of throwing a wrinkle and stuff. Iran is saying that they thought Lebanon was part of the ceasefire. So obviously Iran has proxies in Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel's been striking hard at them for obvious reasons. Well, those strikes continued, and Iran's like, no, they have to be involved as well. And Israel and the U.S. said, no, that was not part of the deal. Nice try, Iran, but that's not part of the deal. Now, J.D. Vance, vice president, who before like 2 days ago was not saying much on the war. He was kind of, missing. There was some thinking maybe he was against it or, kind of out of the Trump administration with this. But it's changed in the past couple of days. He has spoken a lot. Apparently, he's a part of the peace agreement, a part of the talks. He's going to be one of the mediators. So, let's be honest here. The Trump administration and J.D. Vance, they listened to the media. They know it was a complaint. They were trying to sow division in the Trump administration. So Trump's like, okay, no, we'll make sure J.D. Vance is involved here. But anyway, J.D. Vance was on the tarmac yesterday leaving Budapest and was asked about this. Go on and play the J.D. Vance cut for me, Walker.
I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But, look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them, and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire. That's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
I do like what he said at the end there. Look, that's their choice. It would be dumb. We'll keep bombing them. It's kind of the message. Now, some people still wonder if their Navy has mostly been destroyed, how can they hold up the Strait of Hormuz? It only takes one. And what I mean by that, it only takes one shot that hits a tanker to basically close it off. You don't need a giant Navy to do that. You really don't. It's just the fear. That's how terrorism works. I mean, these are terrorists. They know what they're doing. It's more terrorism this time in the Strait of Hormuz. So it's just putting out the fear. All you have to have is one successful drone strike, and it can have that message. Now, unfortunately, I'm looking at this right now. We had oil prices go down yesterday because of the ceasefire, but they're kind of coming back up. Not as bad as the peak, but it says global stocks are dipping and oil prices are climbing again as questions build about the stability of the U.S.-Iran truce. Israel's deadly attacks on Lebanon are threatening to derail the deal. It says oil is now back at $100 a barrel again, which sucks, and you all know that. It says U.S. stocks are inching lower. European and Asian equities recorded bigger losses. The 10-year Treasury yield is largely flat. So you can imagine that Democrats are going to use this against Republicans. Chuck Schumer, who is the minority leader for Democrats in the Senate, he is also in a competition with Adam Schiff to be the slimiest member of the Senate. He talked about this. Go ahead and play the Chuck Schumer cut for me, Walker.
The strait is only partially open for 2 weeks, and it's on a conditional basis. That leverage is not gone. Trump handed to the Iranians leverage over the Strait of Hormuz. The Senate will vote next week on the War Powers Resolution. Congress must reassert its authority, especially at this dangerous moment. No president, Democrat or Republican, should take this country to war alone. The War Powers Act will cease hostilities and require the administration to get an AUMF before going to war after the hostilities cease. If Trump starts a new war, we will be in worse shape given his lack of planning and focus. Trump must end the war now. The only viable solution is a lasting diplomatic one.
A lasting diplomatic? I don't understand that. How is that a viable solution? You don't get Iran to agree to any kind of ceasefire without the bombing. I'm sorry, you just don't. I understand things are a little shaky right now, but the fact is Iran is in a much worse position because of this, and they're further away from nuclear weapons because of the bombing. Let's just be frank. This idea that we were going to get Iran to make a deal without the bombing part is absurd. Now, I know a lot of people are against this war in this country. You know, it's pretty split, but a little bit of a majority. I will say I'm not so sure that the majority of the American people want us to just leave now and it seemed like a loss. That's also kind of shaky there. It's interesting, though, if they really force a vote on this, this might be the thing that blows up the filibuster. We had the government shutdown, and people thought that would be the thing to blow up the filibuster. But it could be this. I just can't imagine. I could see the Senate saying, look, we're going to pass this, and we're going to get rid of the filibuster rule. We can't have Congress limiting the president here, in the middle of an operation. So I don't know. We'll have to see where the votes are. But maybe that's the thing that finally gets them to blow up the filibuster. I don't know. I'm curious what you think. Do you think this ceasefire will hold? I'm cautiously optimistic. I know I use those two words a lot lately in a lot of things dealing with Trump, but that's where I am right now, cautiously optimistic. I have to give Trump the benefit of the doubt because he got a deal with Hamas. If he can do that, it's possible he can get a deal to last here. But I want to know what you think. 866-494-9866. 866-494-WVNN. Coming up next, we're going to lighten the mood a little bit. Why not? I got something that made Yaffee laughy and much more to get to on the Yaffee program. Stay with us, back in just a moment.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Christopher Reed is going to join us at the top of the hour. He is host of the Daily Controversy. As you know, that show is 2 to 4 p.m. on WVNN. I've been telling you I'm going to get to the text line, then didn't do it. So let me get to that right now, the Yaffee text line. One person said, the question I have for everyone is, do you think the ceasefire will hold? A lot of people are not certain about this. Got to say, it's hard to be certain about this. Hard to have a firm take on this one because we're dealing with crazies in Iran. One person texted in, though, and said, unfortunately, the Iranians that are causing the problem think that dying for their cause is an honor. The only way we're going to stop them is kill them. The trouble with Iranians is, unfortunately, to kill them all. Now, I don't know if this texture means everyone in the country. I think he just means the military. Unfortunately, you are dealing with an enemy similar to like what we had in Japan in World War II. It took an atomic weapon to stop that one because they were so dedicated. I'm not saying we're going to nuke Iran or something. I'm just saying it's when you deal with an enemy like that, it's hard to get them to capitulate. So there you go. We'll talk more about that with Christopher Reed at the top of the show. Right now, we're going to move on a little bit because I want to have some fun here. I thought this was good. So it's something that made Yaffee laughy. All right, so this was released, I believe, yesterday. State Auditor Andrew Sorrell. Now, you know he was a former state representative. He is now our state auditor. He was running for Secretary of State of Alabama, decided instead to run for re-election for auditor. And you might remember the first time he ran for auditor, he put out an ad with his kid, Liberty. That was really funny. I mean, it was a big reason why I think he won, why he got a lot of attention. Well, he's got a new ad now for his re-election campaign. This one also with his two kids, which is really good. Now, the video is much better. You got to see the video, too. But here's the audio of that. Play, Walker, real quick. Play the Andrew Sorrell cut for me.
I'm Hannah Sorrell, and my husband Andrew loves auditing state government property. I'm worried that if he doesn't get reelected as state auditor,
Liberty has 17 stuffed animals. 17!
He might start auditing at home.
These crowns were purchased in bulk. Very efficient.
And it's not just the girls.
9 diapers and 4 pacifiers. You've passed your first audit.
So please re-elect Andrew Sorrell as state auditor for the sake of our house and our sanity.
So there you go. I thought that was good. You can tell me you think that's pretty clever. Like I said, you got to see the video. I also have to say, if he wants to come audit my house, I think that's, I'm okay with that. I look at some of the toys Evie has, and I'm just like, this is too many. Although, Walker, by the way, you have to tell me what the solution is to this. I got a text this morning from my wife. She can't find the remote to the TV.
Okay.
Now, if you ever have kids one day, if they want to watch Bluey, we try to limit the amount of time, but sometimes you just need a break and you got to put on Bluey. New TVs, it's hard to work without the remote.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to Disney Plus. You need the remote to do it. It's not like TVs in the past where you just change the channel.
Right.
Do I just buy a new TV? Is that
because
the solution
you lost
here?
the remote?
Yeah, what do I do? What do I do if I can't find it?
You can buy another remote.
Oh, I guess I could do. Well, yeah, I guess they have universal remotes. But I wonder if Steffi's listening right now. It would be. I was kind of thinking maybe a bigger TV. I kind of want one.
Oh,
that would be cool.
So you're hoping that I support your idea of getting a bigger TV.
Yeah, like I use this as an excuse to get a bigger, better TV and put it in the living room. Oh, we don't have the remote. We have to. We have no choice. But she got to watch Bluey.
I mean, a bigger family, bigger TV.
Yes. Thank you, Walker. That's good. Okay, you can tell me if you agree with me. Or maybe I just have to buy a bigger TV if you can't find the remote. All right, got one more hour to go of the Yaffee program. Christopher Reed joins me next. What's trending later on as well? The Yaffee program Rewind. Also, we'll be back here in just a moment.
The Yaffee program.
The countdown is on for the 2026 NFL Draft presented by Bud Light. Catch all 7 rounds, 3 days, live from Pittsburgh, April 23rd through 25th. Watch every pick live on NFL Network, ESPN, and ABC. NFL Network is also streaming with NFL Plus. It all starts Thursday, April 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. Visit NFL.com/draft for more information. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Visit plus.nfl.com for terms.
Next Roll with Vernon Davis. The transformative journeys of athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs.
Ladies and gentlemen, lights out, Sean Merriman.
I want to be the biggest and the best in what I do. And so whatever it takes, I'll get it done. In business and everything else, all I do is know how to fight and earn what I want.
My man, Malik S. What actor or comedian would you want to collaborate with?
Me, Jamie Foxx, and Kevin Hart in a movie. We said it on Vernon Davis podcast, and so we'll circle back and be like, yep, here go the clip.
Next Roll with Vernon Davis. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The Yaffee program on WVNN.
Second hour of the Yaffee program. We are here back on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Glad you're joining the show today. If you miss any of the show live, the podcast, really of all the shows, available on the website, WVNN.com. We have our WVNN app or anywhere you get your podcasts. And as usual, subscribe. And yes, you got to spell my name right. Yaffee. Just to find it if you're looking somewhere. Headline here from the National Review. Surprise, surprise. The Iranians aren't keeping their promises. So yesterday, the president announced a ceasefire with Iran that would open the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has not ceased firing, and the Strait of Hormuz remains mostly closed, with fewer vessels passing the strait than during the fiercest days of fighting. So we got to talk about this. The question I have for everyone, really, will this ceasefire hold for 2 weeks, and can Trump get a deal? So to talk more about this right now, Christopher Reed is joining the show. He is host of The Daily Controversy. Check out all of his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com. Chris, first, how are you today? And then tell me what you think about this. Can this ceasefire hold?
I guess hypothetically it can. You know, I'm kind of confused about this on one level, because the fact that Trump's sending his vice president to go and make a deal, normally you wouldn't send somebody that high level unless you had a fairly good chance that this was going to hold. But this would be the first time in 47 years the Iranians kept a promise. Now, you could make the argument this is the first time in 47 years which their military has been utterly destroyed, and the people that at the deal table know that if they don't make a deal, they're going to join their comrades very quickly because they'll be killed by Hellfire missiles. But it doesn't seem like if you're looking at history, and I always try to look at history, it doesn't seem like that would work because like the Lebanon issue, like the deal was we're going to stop attacking Iran. Hezbollah and Israel is a separate thing, and actually it said in the deal like this is not part of the deal. And like the Iranians always do, they try to change the deal. Oh, we got to stop this. You got to stop this. And you got people like Tucker saying, well, they violated a deal. But they really didn't. And if Israel wants to attack Hezbollah, which sent like 10,000 missiles at it, then that's up to them. But they could even put that on pause. I don't even know if Iran is capable of, even if they wanted to keep the deal, they are so fractured. Their leadership has very little command and control. So even if you found a few guys willing to do the right thing, do I think that there are military leaders that would listen to them? That's a whole other question. So not only do I think they won't do it, I think even if the guys at the table decided to do it, I don't think it'd be complied with.
Okay, so what happens then if it's not complied with? Do we just go back and bomb them some more?
Oh yeah, I'd love it. Look, people. I never tell people what to buy, but I've been purchasing defense stocks over the last couple months, and I'm doing great. So I'm just saying, if you're looking for, you got to think about Christmas. Christmas is coming up in I don't know 7-8 months. Yeah, we got to look. We go after infrastructure. It's not a war crime. We did that in Kosovo, 99, Iraq, Korean War, World War II. In fact, we've done it in virtually every single war we've been in. So what you do is you can take out infrastructure in a way that doesn't destroy it for 20 years. There's a lot of ways to do that. So basically, everything in Iran would be off. They couldn't do anything for 3 to 6 months, meaning if the people wanted to revolt and overthrow the government, they could easily do it. Plus, from what Trump's said this, I don't know if he's supposed to. I guess he can because he's president, but he's already said we've armed the resistance. Mossad's armed the resistance. So if there is an uprising this time, we know for a fact that they have AK-47s, M16s, small arms weaponry, and we also have destroyed the munitions supply of the IRGC, a significant amount. So it'd be much more of a fair fight if that were to happen. But either way, Iran can either take the deal and the people that are still kind of members of the regime can live and maybe have time to leave the country in wealth, or they can not make a deal and they'll be dead and we'll still get what we want. It'll just take a little while longer, maybe a few more weeks.
Okay. It's interesting that I talked to a lot of conservatives, Trump supporters. A lot of them are skeptical that this deal can actually work. I tend to think what Trump wants here is similar to what we have with Venezuela, where we make a deal with an imperfect, adversary, but we keep them in charge because they're at least a little bit more willing to work with us. It seems like that's what Trump wants out of Iran. But can he get that? Because Iran is not Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we made deals with the Soviet Union that kept because the Soviet Union, even though they were an evil empire, they didn't want to die. Like there wasn't this idea in the Soviet Union that if you die for the Soviet Union, it'll be like you'll go to a magical paradise. So, but Iran's different. When you have religious zealotry and sort of the ideas behind that regime, you're not dealing with a rational actor. A lot of the people in the IRGC want to be martyred. They want to die for religious reasons. So, in Venezuela, you got a socialist who simply wants power, but is willing to they'll read the tea leaves and they'll do whatever it takes to have power. And so, of course, she's going to work with us. I don't know if you can do that in Iran. I think you have too much of the religious zealotry. It'd be like making a deal with Al Qaeda or ISIS, except I actually think the Islamic regime is way more extreme than those two groups.
Oh, wow. More extreme than Al Qaeda and ISIS? The regime?
Yeah,
wow,
I mean,
that's...
actually, I think Iran fought ISIS for a while. I guess because they thought they were sellouts. Yeah.
That's true. I'm speaking with Christopher Reed, host of The Daily Controversy. It's interesting because I tend to agree with you, except I thought the same thing of Hamas. And Trump was able to get a deal with them to release all of the hostages. So at the time, I was like, that seems impossible. But he got it done. So that's why I'm like cautiously optimistic. I just keep going back to that. And it's like, if Trump can get that done, maybe it's possible. Maybe and I understand the supreme leader that's supposed to be there now. We don't even know if he's alive. So maybe those in parliament, they're extreme, but they're not quite Ayatollah extreme. So maybe we can deal with them. But what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, we did make a deal to end the Gaza war. It wasn't really with Hamas. It was with Qatar and several other Arab nations that had friendly relations or, neutral relations. And basically the funding source for Hamas made a deal with us to where they're no longer going to get any money. They're going to be cut off from everything. And at the time Hamas surrendered, some people estimate that, 80% of their military had already been killed. So, yeah, you can make a deal, but we didn't really make it with them. We made it with the people that they need to exist. And then they forced Hamas to do what they want. The problem with Iran is it's already attacked every Arab ally that we have, and a lot of those people would have been sympathetic to Iran, like Qatar. So who are we going to get to put leverage on Iran? Russia doesn't seem to care as much about them because they're bogged down in Ukraine. China's got its own problems. I mean, they had to fire one of their generals recently who was high up, and there's internal division. So Iran's kind of on an island of their own. I guess the harder thing to think about is who are we going to get to help leverage this regime when this regime has just isolated themselves from the entire world, even their former allies?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Pakistan has been the country that's been kind of playing mediator. It would have to be China. I guess you're right. China's really the one that has the deep economic ties and the power to have some leverage. So you're right. It probably would have to be China, but you're also right. They have their own problems. So we'll have to see. I mean, everyone agrees this is kind of wait and see time when it comes to this 2-week ceasefire. You want to be optimistic, but, it's cautiously optimistic, as I keep saying. Speaking with Christopher Reed, I want to move on to some politics here at home in terms of the United States, because I had Congressman Barry Moore on my show yesterday, and we were talking about this Department of Homeland Security shutdown. And there's a deal in the works where they would fund Department of Homeland Security, except ICE and Border Patrol. Then they would later on fund ICE through a reconciliation package where you would need a supermajority to pass it. Well, Barry Moore says we should reverse that. You pass the reconciliation first to make sure it actually gets through and the Senate parliamentarian agrees to it. And then when that's done, then you go back and you fund Department of Homeland Security. You fund the rest of it. What do you think about this? Or does this partial shutdown just keep going on forever or something?
I mean, I don't know that it will matter in the long run. I think it's good to be cautious because that parliamentarian was put in by Harry Reid, and the John Thune is a traitor to the Republicans for keeping her in instead of putting his own person in there. But leave that as it may, even this left-wing parliamentarian agreed to us funding ICE and Border Patrol through reconciliation. So I guess there's not a non-zero chance she won't let us do that with DHS, but she already had a ruling that was almost identical. She'd have a real tough time justifying it. And so I don't really think that would be as big a deal. But, I mean, Barry probably knows more than I do. The only problem is if you're trying to get reconciliation done first, that means that a lot of these, like Coast Guard and cybersecurity, like they're going to have to wait, until June? So I think at this point, get the funding to everyone you possibly can, and then get reconciliation through. And then if what he says happens, Thune can fire the parliamentarian immediately and put someone in. Like, it's not, and also he can overrule the parliamentarian. So really, the only question is, will Thune agree to do what he said he would do, or will he pretend like he's trying, but the parliamentarian won't let him, which is ridiculous because, again, he has 100% control and can overrule her.
Yeah, I never really thought about that because, I thought maybe it would just force finally to abolish the filibuster, but at the very least, he could just get rid of that parliamentarian. You're right. I mean, at the very least, at least fire that person, so we can get this through. I did see that the House Freedom Caucus came out yesterday, and what they want to do is pass it all through reconciliation. So all of DHS and Border Patrol and ICE just completely don't even worry about the Democrats anymore. But then you have to wonder, could that get through? And I really don't know the answer.
Look, Republicans can do all of this without any problems. There's no excuse. It's not a matter of do we have the votes or the desire. It's a matter of the political will. Democrats have political will, so they've been able to do what they've done, which is very impressive. We don't have the political will because our leaders are weak and they care more about old Senate rules than American families, and it's just true. There's no other way to look at it.
Christopher Reed is host of The Daily Controversy. Find out all his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com. You can also listen to his show 2 to 4 p.m. right here on WVNN. Chris, appreciate it. As always, I know we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. There you go. If you want to weigh in, we have our Yaffee text line, of course, 866-494-9866. Right now, I'm going to weigh in on my good friends at Jay's Appliance Outlet. Dial pound 250 right now and say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. You can find out some of the great deals they got going on right now, plus all of the time. So if you want to upgrade your home, get a new appliance, but you don't want to pay too much, you want real customer service, they can deliver it to your house, and much more. I mean, just go to a place you actually trust. Jay's Appliance Outlet. They're located off 72 in Athens. And as I mentioned, you could dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. Oh, by the way, they have scratch and dent deals as well, so that's really cool. So if you want to get an even better price and you don't really care about a little dent on your washer to do it, they have that also at Jay's Appliance Outlet. Go to Jay's Appliance Outlet today. And when you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, we'll be back here in just a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. It's a revolution in common sense. That's how it works here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You know, I was just looking today. The Alabama legislative session is almost over. But there is a lot of stuff still going on and a lot of stuff they're going to have to handle on their last day. You know, at AL.com here, it says Alabama lawmakers set to tackle biggest issues of 2026 on legislative session's last day. So that includes some high-profile bills, including one that would require party registration for voters, which I support. And I understand that there are a lot of independents who don't. But I agree with Stadhagen, who is the GOP chairman now in Alabama. The party, the organization that is the Republican Party or Democratic Party, they exist for the organization. Put it that way. You know, you don't have a right as an American to just vote in any party you want to unless you're a part of the party. I just don't see. You have a right to vote for your leaders, and you do that in the general. It's not like taking away your ability to vote in a primary if you're not a part of the party, takes away your right to vote or something. No, you're keeping your right to vote. Your right to vote has to do with the leaders in the general election. Everything else is done within the party. I mean, would they rather us go back to a system where we just have conventions to pick party leaders on a ballot? We could do that, I guess. I mean, that's the way it used to be done. Now we have a primary system, but it's just kind of, we've kind of blown up the idea. The idea of a party is that it has its own beliefs, values, principles based on what people in the party believe. And that goes for both sides. This idea that independents can decide what the Republican Party is doing, even though they're not a part of the party, it never made any sense to me. At the end of the day, the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or whatever party, the Libertarian Party, they are private organizations at the end of the day. And yes, you have a right to vote on them or not, but that right comes in the general. It's just the way it is. So we could also talk about how, you know, you get kind of rhinos involved if independents or Democrats are voting in the party. I mean, that's really why they want to change the rule. But even beyond that, that's why I went a little bit deeper to say, look, it's a private organization. They should be able to decide who gets to vote in their primary system. So that's something that's going on. I did see this as well, which I think is good. House passed a bill to prohibit candy and soda purchases with SNAP. So the House passed a bill to prohibit people from buying candy or soda with their Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits. Senate Bill 57 by Senator Arthur Orr requires the Alabama Department of Human Resources to request a federal waiver to exclude sugary products from eligible purchases. About 740,000 Alabamians receive SNAP benefits, often called food stamps. The benefits are federally funded. Now, Orr and others cited the state's high obesity rate as a reason for bringing the bill. I don't even think it's about that. You could talk about the obesity rate, but this is another thing where it's like, what is the purpose of SNAP? What's the purpose of the program? The purpose of the program is to help you to get what you need in tough times. That's the purpose. And I'm sorry, there is no argument to be made that you need candy or soda. When we're talking about a government welfare program, it should be about helping you with what you need. It's not supposed to be giving you stuff you want just because you want it. That's not the purpose. The goal of a welfare program, I think, is not to make it comfortable. The goal, if you were a part of a welfare program, you should not want to continue to be a part of it. It's to help you out as a safety net, but it's supposed to be a temporary safety net. You know, I think Katie Britt said it's supposed to be a safety net, not a hammock kind of thing. And this is kind of one way to make sure it's just a safety net. You get what you need in times of trouble. So eventually you can do better and get back on your feet. That's the goal. The goal is not supposed to be, hey, here's all this cool stuff. You can have it forever. So any way we can make it go back to its original purpose, I think is good. So they're focusing on the obesity part of this, and I totally understand that as well. I'm sure even if you can't get soda, you could still buy other things that make you fat. I don't know. I'm not saying what they're saying is wrong. I'm just saying that it's just not the purpose. People complain about the military-industrial complex in this country. What we really have is a welfare industrial complex in this country, where we just have these giant programs with a bunch of handouts for a lot of things and a lot of people don't really need, and it becomes permanent. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just saying it's not the way it's supposed to work. All right, going to move on to what's trending. Of course, we end the show, as always, with the Yaffee program rewind as well. You are listening to the Yaffee program. Back in just a moment.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible.
Do not ever worry about your salary. You need enough to make sure that you aren't in a bad financial position. Once you have that, your salary becomes moot. What matters from that point forward, upside gains. Any type of ownership stake or ownership potential, that's the money.
Remember, you can afford anything, just not everything. Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
We're back here on the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Glad you have joined the show today. Don't forget to like the Yaffee Facebook page. Follow me on X at Yaffee. Also Instagram at Yaffee Live. Or go to our website, WVNN.com. Find out all about the show there. Walker is here producing once again. So right now we have What's Trending with Walker.
Keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
You guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
Sponsored by Coleman Furniture Market, because they always have the latest trending in furniture. By the way, the clock is ticking on some special savings going on there right now. There is only 1 week left of Refund Madness. Don't miss your chance to get a store-wide tax amount discount on furniture and mattresses. Turn your tax refund into the home you've always wanted before the madness ends, and it ends on April 15th, of course, because that's tax day. So go to Coleman Furniture Market. They're located in the heart of Coleman, Alabama. It's actually 1807 2nd Avenue Southwest in Coleman, Alabama. You can find out more about these deals on their Facebook page or their Instagram page, or go to ColemanFurnitureMarket.com. Their in-house design team is awesome. Their selection is great, and they can deliver to anywhere in the state of Alabama. Go today. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, Walker, what's number 5 today?
Number 5 today, Gen Z is starting to carry around anxiety bags.
Oh,
which is...
I was hoping it was something good, and then you said that. But yes, what is an anxiety bag?
Essentially, it's like the size of a pencil pouch or a makeup bag that has stuff that helps them calm their nerves.
Oh, I wonder what you put in there? A little thing of whiskey? I mean, what?
I'm sure some might.
Alcohol?
But having your anxiety medication in it, a cold pack, a small portable fan to help cool you down if you're having an anxiety attack, a fidget toy, a stress ball.
Yeah, I was wondering if stress ball would be in there.
But apparently people are
I
starting
understand
to make
people
their own.
deal with these things, but why do we have to make a whole thing about it? Why do we have to do it's like we want it to be a badge of honor or something. I don't understand. That's the part I don't understand about it. You know, if you need some things to help you with a problem, I get it. But why must we? It's like we show it off. That's the part I like.
I think it starts out with people wanting to share it, helping other people, and then people are like, "Ooh, I want to hop on this trend."
Right. Oh,
and
that's
then
true.
It kind of like loses its original meaning. Though I
agree with that.
That some people call them panic pouches.
Just the alliteration.
Yeah.
I will say I miss fidget spinners. I don't know why. I liked messing with those.
Yeah, I had 2 of them, and one was weighted a little bit, so it felt really nice.
I have a video of my cat messing with one.
I've also let my cat mess with one.
they like spin it, and it's like they're just.
Yeah,
it's really funny. I don't know.
It's the small things.
All right, what's number 4?
Number 4, certain KFC locations have something called saucy, and that.
So I actually know what this is, but go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know that this was a thing, but they are introducing 5 new drips by Pepsi flavors. Where
interesting,
they're either like have a foam on top or like popping boba or just different additions to the drink.
Oh, that's become a really big thing. Flavored sodas and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really into it. You know, I like a regular, I just really like a regular Pepsi or Coke or something. It's just me, but the flavored sodas and boba, that's really popular.
Yeah, there are 4 flavors. There is Pepsi Zero Sugar Salted Caramel Fizz. That is a mouthful. Tropicana Rainbow Splash Lemonade, Mountain Dew Chili Chill, and Pink Rays Pop.
Okay. So when it comes to by the way, the saucy thing, the only reason I know that, my mother-in-law was in town, and apparently they have them in Orlando where she lives.
Yeah.
I've never been to one or anything. You know, it's fairly new, but apparently it's good.
Yeah,
you know,
I looked up the locations, and most of them are in Florida.
Right, yeah. It's a very new thing, but it's like you just get, it's like a KFC, but you get a lot more, you get a ton of sauce options like for your chicken.
I would love that.
Which, I mean, sounds good. Yeah. Like what they put on the chicken. But yeah, there's really none up here. You're right. Most of them are in Florida. I don't know if there's any in Alabama, to be honest.
I didn't see any on the locations list.
Yeah.
I thought that the Mountain Dew one sounds like a lot because it's Mountain Dew mixed with Tropicana lemonade and then pineapple, jalapeno, mint, and tahini are in it.
That doesn't sound good at all. None of that sounds. I like jalapenos, not in my Mountain Dew.
Now, all the other ones sound good. Like
Yeah, and Mountain Dew is already like full of a lot of flavors, isn't it? Like there's already a lot in there. So it's like you're even adding more.
Yeah, I'd probably try the Pepsi one because it has salted caramel and chocolate flavors topped with caramel cold foam.
Yeah, not. See, I like stuff like that in my coffee, although usually I just get vanilla, but not in my soda. I don't know, but it's popular. What's number 3?
Number 3 happens to be another food thing. Burger King is testing king-size sliders at certain locations. Essentially, they're just tiny burgers.
Mm-hmm. I bet that sounds good. It's actually not a bad, because slider, that's another thing that's kind of popular. And if you could get like a slider size Whopper, so it tastes like a Whopper, but it's sliders. That sounds good.
You can either get 2 or 6, and the different flavors are deluxe slider, steakhouse bacon slider, and bacon and cheese slider.
I'm going to say that does not sound bad to me. That sounds pretty good. Do you dip your sliders in anything? Do you ever have sliders?
I have had sliders, but I don't think I usually dip them unless it's like buffalo chicken sliders, then I'll dip them in ranch.
Even if you get a burger slider, dip it in ranch. It's pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's just good. Maybe I just like ranch too much. I don't know, but just try that sometime. All right, what's number 2?
Number 2, Google has dropped a AI dictation app, and it released on the iPhone before the Google App Store.
That's interesting. Okay.
So
did not expect that.
What it does, it's called Google AI Edge Eloquent, where it'll do speech to text transcription, but it's able to clean up the text and remove filler words like ums or uhs, and any corrections that you make, it will make.
It won't or will? It won't make it.
It will.
Oh. So, I mean, it's literally like everything you're saying. Huh. Did you call it? What was the AI called?
Google AI Edge Eloquent.
Edge?
Eloquent.
I thought the AI was called Gemini, but this is like a different thing.
Yeah, it seems like a... It says that it's Gemini's AI capabilities.
Oh, I see. Okay. I use Grok more than anything, the X one. I mean, I've used Gemini, Microsoft Copilot too, and all that. Grok just seems to be the one I use because it's pretty easy to use. But okay.
I guess I use Gemini just because I have a Google phone, and like whenever
that's true. If you Google something now, a lot of times the Gemini response will be first.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed by it, honestly.
There
just
are
show me
some
the regular
times where
results.
it's annoying. Yeah, there are some times where they change something. They've changed other things in Google too that I have to admit have gotten kind of annoying. You just like want the regular Google back.
they do make a point that there's no subscription, like it's a free thing.
Oh, that's good. That's useful. All right, what's number 1?
Number 1, a dad has gone viral after he let his kids do a voiceover for a video promoting his bakery.
Okay. All right.
And it is so cute, and I'm going to play it for you.
All right.
This is the day of the life of our daddy. Welcome to his bakery. Narrated by his kids. His bakery is very nice, and I love his bakery. And he makes the cream. I make 3 different teams. My favorite is the pistachio. It's pistachio, Aya. That's what I said. My favorite cream is the chocolate. Everyone else loves the pistachio. This pistachio is really good, but the chocolate bitter. And make the croissants in the cream. Daddy's a poopy pants, and I really love his croissants and do everything he does. Now he's putting on the decorations. It's kind of like a signature. His croissants are crunchy and buttery, and I really love his stove. It has full of pizza in it. I really love his pizza. It's not pizza, it's maniquiche. I like to call them daddy pizza, but I really like the one that has the sauce. I really love his crunchy lava, and he make it full of pistachio. And he make it croissants, and I really love his croissants. He's really good at making the dough, and I really like the dough. The bread is my favorite, and I really like it. And his pizza, it's very nice about it. The little sugar bread is my favorite, and I love it.
Okay, so yes.
I love that so much.
So yes, it's really cute. It's actually, it's using your kids like that for an ad's pretty smart. Earlier I played that ad of Andrew Sorrell in his campaign using his kids in a way. His kids aren't talking, but he uses the kids in the ad, so that's always really smart. The only criticism I have is it's a little too long.
Yeah, it was pretty long, and I even cut it off a little early.
Yeah, like kids are cute, but it gets to a point where it's almost hard to listen to what they're like. You're trying to understand what they're saying, and it's like, yeah, this is something that should just. Because how long was that? Do you know? How long was the audio?
The whole thing is 2 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If you do something like that and you're putting out, it's got to be 30 seconds or something. You can't 2 minutes. It's really, like I said, it's really cute. It's really fun. But after about 30 seconds, you're like, okay, I get it. The kid's cute talking about his dad's bakery. They really drug that out.
I like that they were correcting each other.
I know. Oh, man. All right, Walker. I appreciate that. We'll end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind in a moment here on WVNN. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
We're back here on the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience. Glad you're joining the show. Don't forget, after this show, you got the Vince Show. Then after that, you got Christopher Reed, the Daily Controversy. Later on, you got Mark Levin as well. So a lot of good stuff, always. Let's end the show like we usually do. We have the Yaffee program Rewind. Yes, that time of the show where I remind you, if you missed any of it live, the podcast will be up on the website, WVNN.com, or subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, including the WVNN app, which you can find at the App Store. So at the beginning of the show, I actually talked about something a little bit different, but that's because there's been this thing like going viral about all the things that millennials have faced, and I'm a millennial. And a part of me, there's a grain of truth to this because there are issues that millennials have had to face that maybe other generations haven't as much. And, I want to solve problems. It's kind of the nature of who I am. But there's a sense of this that it's like this victim mentality and that somehow it was worse for us than maybe other generations. And I just don't think that's true. So this is kind of an example of one of the posts that went viral. It said the life of a millennial, graduated into the Great Recession. Entry-level jobs required 3 years of experience. Pensions replaced by the 401k. Promoted at work meant 2% raise and 200% more responsibility. Felt stability in life, then a pandemic. Highest inflation in 50 years, deleted pay raises. Home prices doubled overnight, forcing permanent renters. Childcare costs 1 month of rent. Juggling aging parents, young kids, burnout from the work, and the cost to live. So there's some truth to that, especially when it comes to housing prices and it comes to inflation. But really, I would still much rather be a millennial and live in these times than, say, during the Great Depression and before that, World War II. Even baby boomers had some tough times when it came to inflation and oil embargoes and the Vietnam War. And so I just think that sometimes we just have this nostalgia for the past. And as a conservative, I fall into that too sometimes. And there are some things we need to learn from the past, especially when it comes to our cultural issues, and bring it back. But we also need to be grateful for what we've had and what we have now, that we still have it pretty good in today's world. Even with those issues I described, we still, millennials have had it pretty good. So I just wanted to point that out. I talked about that in greater detail at the first segment of the show. The podcast is up. Had the Alabama bullet points as well today. The top stories from around the state, including the fact that Alabama schools could be required to allow student-led prayers if voters approve an amendment. Definitely going to be a big issue. Democrats are going to freak out about it, especially if the amendment passes on the ballot. But to me, it's like, we already don't have this, especially the Pledge of Allegiance part. We're not doing the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. Why not? So Democrats will cry foul, but looks like it has passed. So we talked about that during the bullet points, other bullet points up on the podcast. Then I did give the latest when it came to the war in Iran, including something that Vice President J.D. Vance said, because you have this ceasefire deal. I'm cautiously optimistic that maybe it can hold. A lot of skepticism already that it can. Oil prices are already going back up. A lot of it has to do with Israeli operations in Lebanon, which wasn't a part of the ceasefire deal, even though Iran is trying to say it was. But go ahead, just a reminder, go ahead real quick. I played this earlier. I'll play it again. Play the J.D. Vance cut for me, Walker.
I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
All right, so we talked about that. We also had Christopher Reed on, host of The Daily Controversy. He's going to join me for a segment every Thursday. His show is later on. If you missed that interview, the podcast will be up. Also had something that made Yaffee, which was this latest ad put out by State Auditor Andrew Sorrell. Play the Andrew Sorrell cut for me, Walker.
I'm Hannah Sorrell, and my husband Andrew loves auditing state government property. I'm worried that if he doesn't get reelected as state auditor,
Liberty has 17 stuffed animals. 17!
He might start auditing at home.
These crowns were purchased in bulk. Very efficient.
And it's not just the girls.
9 diapers and 4 pacifiers. You've passed your first audit.
So please re-elect Andrew Sorrell as state auditor for the sake of our house and our sanity.
So it's similar to an ad that he put out when he ran the first time. It was pretty effective, and I think it's pretty good. It made me laugh anyway, so I played that earlier. You have to check out the video, though. The video's even better. I'm sure his campaign is going well. So we had that earlier. We did What's Trending as well. We talked a little bit about what's going on in the legislature, kind of to the last day of the session, and a lot supposed to happen the last day of the session. So there you go. If you miss any of the show, the podcast is up. Appreciate you listening. Thanks to Walker for producing today. And yes, I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. See you then.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
This isn't your average podcast.
This pod is about to be crazy. I don't even know what's going to happen.
This is Full Send.
It's just like a boys' scrap.
Join the party.
We threw like a spontaneous party out of nowhere. It was crazy. And we pulled off a crazy prank.
Pranks, parties, and viral culture at its wildest.
Just seeing like the guys that you brought in and like seeing their different personalities and stuff. It's been entertaining, dude.
So this could be the greatest content builder of all time, bro.
The Full Send Podcast.
Dude, let's get ready to rumble.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Let's do it.